I have the privilege of interviewing the artist and activist Jaime Black-Morsette. Um, she has been at the forefront of the recognition of the murdered and missing women, girls, two-spirited, and transgender people with her Red Dress project. So please welcome me to welcome her here to see Changemakers. It's so amazing. Hi, Jaime.
Hey, hello.
Jaime, you began your career as a teacher after completing your education degree at university. What was the reason for your initial degree and what led you to create art?
Right. Well, I've always been an artist, and I think when I left high school, there was kind of questions about whether you can even be an artist. So, there's we live in a society that doesn't support artists that much, and adults and people caring for children are just like, no, that's not like even a viable route to go as far as taking care of yourself. So I think that a lot of people around me and just like friends and we're just, like you can't do that. So, um, so I did, like, I actually ended up doing many, many different things. I had many jobs. I worked in the libraries. I worked as a river raft guide in the Yukon. Like, I just like tried so many different things. I worked in daycares a lot with young people, and I really liked working with kids, and yeah, and then so I went into university, and instead of taking a fine arts degree, I took a literature degree because I also like writing. So I actually have a literature degree as well, with a minor in, at that time it was called Native Studies, which is now called Indigenous Studies, from U of M. And then after that, I went to OISE in Toronto to take a teaching degree. And I didn't really want to do that. It was really just a practical, like more like a practical decision than like something that was true to my heart. And it's not that I don't like teaching, or working with students, because I really do like that. But for me, it was like the structure of the school system, the education system that didn't really ever kind of like align with my values and what I thought was really important to share and teach to that young people. And so I think that like for me, like going I feel like I'm still a teacher, but I'm a free teacher where I am able to teach through art and through writing and not have like a system or a structure sort of imposed on that necessarily because I'm an independent artist. So that really kind of was the way I still followed that path of wanting to teach and share, but also in a way that felt true to my spirit and what was important to me.
I was going through your book, which we will talk about, but I have to show everybody just to. I mean, I'm sorry, my
Buzzing up
filter is
on.
blurring, but the red. Anyways, we'll talk about it a bit more after. But
Yeah,
that you were sharing about how when your grandfather passed away, it was really a pinnacle moment for you in
yeah,
your life
yeah,
because he was your connection to your indigenous heritage and
yes,
ancestry. And
yeah.
yeah, was it during that time that you started to really say, oh wow, you know,
Yeah, I felt, well, really personal story. I was actually leaving the hospital visiting him, and some voice in my head was like, it's time for you to have a child. And I was like, what? Like my practical self thought that was insane, but it was just something that I just felt like, it, I don't know what you want to call it. But that happened to me. And so, um, and not too long after that, I did, and I named him my son after my grandpa, Joe.
um,
And so so during that time, it really felt like whatever that he was carrying was like being passed on to me, right? So like whether that be like, there's a heaviness to that too, right? And there's like it's like what are we carrying forward with us, and what needs to be worked through that wasn't able to be worked through in that generation and all of that stuff, right? And I just felt like it was a I mean, it's a spiritual thing and an emotional um, thing, but it really did feel like it became I didn't see anyone else in my family at the time kind of like willing to take that and keep walking that same path or like keep walking that path or keep telling that story or like really working through those things. So I felt like it was really up to me to carry on his legacy, like whatever that meant, right? Like with all the, beautiful things and connections to land and
Mhm.
um, just all the beautiful things about who he was, but also like the pain and the struggle and all of that and working through those things. So yeah, so it really was a pivotal moment. And not too long after that, probably within the year, I started, I think, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get like the linear time mixed up because
Mhm.
like everything's sort of like more like a web, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
in my mind. And so um but yeah, like things inform other things and like little like a match is struck here, which kind of like sets off something over there. And it definitely was one of those moments where things like I had a path put in front of me kind of, and I just started walking it. And the Red Dress Project was very soon after that happened, like came to me and took me on a journey. So I do feel like those events are definitely aligned.
Hmm. Hmm. And I
Hmm.
just want to share with people your website here. I did, this is the Red Dress Project on your website here. And that is the book, by the way, for those people that couldn't see my blurry,
Yeah.
filtered version that I was trying to show you. Um, but yeah, so that's part of what got ignited by your grandfather's passing, but as well as I think I remember you saying, like, reading about a couple conferences that you had participated in
Yeah,
down in Bogota as well as
in
in
Germany.
Germany, which was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was traveling with my partner at the time and he was going to a lot of those things. So I was able to have access to those spaces, which was really felt like a privilege. We went to Bogota, Colombia for a performance and politics conference. So
Mhm.
that conference was gathering artists, activists, and academics from all across North and South America. So if you can imagine, like, I think like there was a real powerful synergy between like the academic, like that ideology paired with
Mhm.
a real radical art action kind of group. And like those two things coming together was really explosive and really cool to see um, how we can sort of embody and activate those histories, that knowledge that we're learning in school, like all like well in academia, whatever we're studying, like the indigenous histories, all of that stuff, how we can activate that through art. And one of the things I witnessed there was like a 6 hour long performance that was in the public square in Bogota. And the performance was all, I believe, all women. I'm not sure if there are transgendered or two-spirit people involved in that performance. I'm not totally certain. There may have been. Um, but it was basically women and girls in the public square, and there were probably about 200 to 300 women and girls involved in that. It was sort of like a performance, but also a protest at the same time. And everyone gathered in the square had lost a family member due to political reasons in their country, right? So um, that whole entire 6 hour, 7 hour long activation of the public square was really about giving the families and the women voice to speak out against what was happening to their loved ones. And like it was very like there were just so many parallels between what happens here on Turtle Island in Canada, um, as far as this colonial violence being ongoing, disappearance, assault, all of these things happening to Indigenous women on the regular, but that silence, that glaring silence so that like only families are dealing with things like alone, right?
Right.
Um, and so this very similar thing was happening in Colombia, where people were being disappeared and by the actual government, like I believe, and I don't know like all like ins
Mm-hmm.
and outs of the political situation there, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but it was a very, very scary situation for a lot of families, and so they all gathered in the public square and they just did like the most simplest things. It was so cool. It was like grandmas, mothers, little daughters, like little 7-year-old girls holding their mom's hand. All of them were all part of this. And they would just they would shout out the names of the people that were missing in their family in public, in front of everyone, for everyone to hear, like to really bring back that the reality of that story, right? And like give voice to that, to what was going on. And they just yelled out justice, and like they just did different like small little actions that just consistently, and like so there was a grand piano in the middle of the square, and someone like shared a song about the missing, and like
Oh,
like
yes.
it's like
Yep.
it was so so beautiful, and really like at a certain point like someone walked through the square with like 200 pairs of shoes tied, empty shoes like tied together, and dragged those empty shoes through like the middle of the square really slowly. There was a group of women that were underneath like a black fabric like shroud, walking and like chanting. So it's just like really it was almost like a memorial, but also like a call to action at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I'm
It's-
gonna share with everybody because we did put it up on Sea Changer's website, so I'll just share that for a moment.
Mhm.
Um, Here it is, and that is in reference to, I guess, the memory of the missing down in Bogota. Here it is. This is the short clip, I believe, that you shared with on UBC at one of your
Yeah.
conferences or
Yeah, I
presentations.
definitely have shared this before, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, and I witnessed this in like I can't remember what year it was. It looks like the video is 2010, but I think the actual like performance might have been in 2008 or 2009, and that was
Yeah, I think it was 2009 or something. I remember you mentioning somewhere.
yeah, and like
Mm.
very shortly after that, well, to actually witnessing this performance, I was sparked back into really dedicating myself to being an artist, and like because seeing how um my skills could be used, like my creativity could be used in this way, to really ignite public support, to ignite and allow space for marginalized and silenced voices to actually speak out in public space was so, so inspiring. And at that time I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to be a teacher forever. I need to go make art. Like that needs to be what I focus on and what I do. And I just made that decision at that time. And the Red Dress Project came to me, I don't know, around abouts then as well. Um, and and again, it was like another one of those kind of light bulb or like lighting a match
Mm.
sort of
Mhm.
moments of
Mhm.
lighting that fire and reminding me like which way to go, like which way I like myself am meant to be going.
Yeah. Coming up next in the following two parts, you'll hear more about the book as well as future endeavors for Jamie.